Hey guys, we are back for part two of the one and only Bob. And yesterday we found out that Bob's life didn't start off so well. He was with some humans and his mom. He never met his dad. He lived with his mom, and the humans ended up putting Bob and his little litter mates, his brothers and sisters, in a cardboard box and throwing it out of a truck. And Bob ends up alone and he's on a highway and he's really hungry, but he just keeps walking and keeps walking. He doesn't give up. He finds his way to exit 8 off of the highway and finds his way to Ivan. And then eventually ends up with Julia. So now we're going to jump into part 2 and find out what happens. Dream. This morning I wake up in my cozy bed, way too early for Julia to make me breakfast. She and her mom and dad are still asleep, and even the guinea pigs are silent. My belly grumbles. Humans are one big design flaw. The inferior noses, the inscrutable, humdrum rumps, and don't get me started on their odor. But the opposable thumb idea? Yeah, that was a nice upgrade. The cans I could open, the doorknobs I could conquer. Anyways, I feel worried. Off. Worry's a waste of time and it doesn't fit with my tough guy act. But sometimes I can't seem to help myself. Before I woke up, I'd been dreaming about Ivan and Ruby and Stella. It wasn't a nice dream, a fun and run toe twitcher. Nope. This one was a nightmare, a bad one. We were swimming, all four of us, in a black, raging river. For some reason, I was in the lead, and I kept looking back, telling them I was going to save them. Me? Save them? Two elephants and a gorilla? As I paddled like mad, their voices faded. I looked behind me, and they'd vanished. So this was a dream that Bob was having. And then I heard it. A faint bark. That bark. I woke up then, like I always do. I did an all-over shake, trying to toss off the stench of nightmare that clung onto me like shampoo after a bath. I told myself to chill, get a grip, stop worrying about nothing. And yet, some primitive part of my brain, the wolf in me maybe, is on edge. A lot can go wrong in the moment left to chance. The blink of an eye, the bounce of a bone. There are so many ways the world can find to fail you. The smell of a storm. By the time everyone else wakes up, I've calmed down, but the wind outside sure hasn't. It's an early fall Saturday, gusty, with scraps of sun. Clouds bouncing off each other like bunnies in a basket. Messages on the wind pouring in from everywhere. From dogs making their daily rounds, from feral cats, from anxious raccoons. Basically, everybody is asking the same thing. What is the deal with the weather today? I already know. Weather Channel was on last night with a screen full of big, white, cotton candy looking swirls. Julia's dad, George, has already taped up several windows. Sarah, her mom, packed an emergency bag just in case we have to evacuate. Another hurricane is on its way, third this season. Not as big as the last couple, but slow moving. I've seen the routine, know the ropes. Once breakfast is done, I sit on the couch in the living room, waiting impatiently for Julia to come home so she can take me on our daily stroll. She has a dog walking service, and she's out walking other dogs. I get my own private walk, 'cause she's my own private girl. I can practically taste the storm coming through the open window, the back of my throat tingle, the metallic edge, the fizzy energy. But it's more than that. It's as if the air is up to no good, sneaking up on the world and looking for trouble. On the poetry of stink. Of course, not everybody can smell what I'm smelling. My nose is a zillion times more powerful than a human's. Dogs are experts at odor, students of stink. We analyze the air the way humans read poetry, searching for invisible truths. We don't just smell the good and bad stuff that people notice with their substandard schnauzes. The usual suspects, popcorn and lilacs and freshly sharpened pencils, diapers and Brussels sprouts, and freaked out skunks. No, our noses get it all. The whole shimmery double rainbow in April. Humans, they're lucky to get a cloudy day in November. We get that molecule of roast beef dancing on the wind 50 miles from the tidy kitchen where it just slid out of the oven. We get the cherry lollipop under the back seat of the Honda 16 cars up the highway at rush hour. We get things humans can't even dream of getting. We're the ones who find the miracle earthquake baby cuddled in her crib under tons of rubble. We're the ones who find lost hikers in the wilderness after a quick whiff of a sweaty sock. We can even tell when someone's sick. We can smell seizures and cancer and migraine headaches. Try getting your guinea pig to do that. We smell feelings too. Sad has a sharp scent with an undertone of sweetness. Sad smells like being lost in a winter frost as the sun goes down. And happy. Happy is the best. But there's a touch of wistfulness around the edges. Happy smells like bacon ice cream served up in an expensive leather shoe. You're going to love every minute of it, but you know it won't last forever. So he's talking about all the different things that dogs can smell that humans could never be able to smell because dogs have such an incredible sense of smell. The news. Sometimes when Julie and I go for walks, I'll break at a corner. Corners are the best for fresh news. And she'll tug and say, "Come on, Bob, there's nothing there." Oh, but there is. Here's the thing about poop and pee. I get that humans are not into them. I see the bathroom doors shut tight, the embarrassed, downcast glances. You guys are totally missing out. There's a whole lot of info hiding in your average pee mail. When dogs want to share the latest gossip, we just wait until nature calls. You'd be amazed what we can learn during a quick bathroom break. People read the news, check the TV, browse the web. I linger over a fire hydrant and inhale the whole wide world. My ears, by the way, are almost as remarkable as my nose. I pick up on all kinds of things humans can't hear. What we do with our noses and our ears is kind of like taking a big old knot and loosening it up, separating out the strands, unbraiding things. People smell a reeking pile of trash in a dumpster. We smell a dollop of cream cheese, a hint of peanut butter, a smattering of Fruit Loops. People hear the roar of a crowd in a stadium. We hear a strain of a whiny 4-year-old, a whisper of a worried superfan, a note of a grumpy hot dog vendor. Man, dogs are cool. Snickers. While I watch from my perch on the back of the couch, Julia passes by on the sidewalk. George asks her to keep her dog walking route close to home in case the weather changes. She's wearing a shiny purple raincoat and leading 3 dogs, a goofy mutt named Winston, a timid dachshund named Oscar Mayer, and her Snickers. An old nemesis of mine. Snickers is a fluffy white poodle with delusions of grandeur, a big snooty pain in the puffball. Ugh, that pooch drives me crazy. Our mutual dislike goes back to my early days as a stray. Snickers was a fancy, pampered, sleep on a pink satin pillow kind of gal. Her owner, Mac, ran the mall where I lived with Ivan and Ruby. That's where I first encountered Snickers. She teased me mercilessly, and beneath the fuzzy facade, I always suspected there was a little, spark there. So Snickers used to be at the mall, and she's like foo-fooey, kind of thinks she's all that in a bag of chips. And they really don't like each other, but maybe like each other a little bit. Anyways, after the mall closed down, Snickers, being Snickers, landed on her feet. Mac married an older widow lady with more money than sense, and she dotes on that ridiculous poodle. Mac's too lazy to walk Snickers himself, so he hired Julia to do it. "Looking good, Snick baby," I call through the open window, and she gives me her curled lip, squinty-eyed face, which, come to think of it, is pretty much how she always looks. As usual, Snickers is dressed to the max. She's wearing a pink poncho, a sparkly rain hat, and teensy pink boots. Those boots were made for mocking, I add for good measure. Feels good giving her some grief. But before I can really relish the moment, another annoying acquaintance of mine appears. Nutwit. Nutwit, the gray squirrel who lives in the live oak tree in our front lawn, jumps to a lower branch, looking at me with barely concealed pity. I hate pity, especially the barely concealed kind. I don't know why you taunt her, he says. You're hardly in a position to talk, Bob. You are Snickers. Come over here to the window and say that. So you can what? Drool me to death? Are you aware that my best friend is a gorilla? I ask. You would make fantastic ape chow, dude. Nutwit reaches for a dangling acorn and yanks it free. I thought gorillas were vegetarians. Ivan eats termites, I say. He might make an exception for you. Face it, Bob, you're soft. You're one step away from your own pink rain boots. He has a point, says Minnie, one of our family's guinea pigs, from her cage next to the TV. No, he doesn't, says Moo, her cage mate. Yeah, he does, Minnie squeaks. Doesn't. Minnie pauses. Wait, you tricked me. The guinea pigs rarely agree on anything. Nutwit leaps over to the window ledge, acorn in paw. He presses his tiny, twitchy nose on the screen. You couldn't last a day out here, Bob. Some of us have to live by our wiles. Hey, I lived on the street longer than you've been alive. Nutwit nibbles on his acorn. He's quite the prissy eater. Whatever you say, Bob. I say scram. Fine, hint taken. Anyway, storms en route. I should be stocking up on my nut stash while I can. Nutwit gives me a wise guy look. That's how we do it in the real world. He scampers off with an acrobatic flourish. Squirrels never do a simple jump when a quadruple backflip cartwheel is an option. You're full of it, I say to nobody in particular. We're full of it, says Minnie. Yes, we're extremely full of it, says Moo, and they popcorn in agreement. Guinea pigs hop up and down when they're happy. It's called popcorning, and it's totally ridiculous. You're happy, wag your tail like a real mammal. I'm not soft, I mutter, nosing my protruding belly. I leap with effort off the couch. Then I head to the bathroom for a good long drink from the water bowl of power. You know what he's drinking out of? The toilet. So Bob likes to act like he likes to be like a tough guy, right? And the squirrel's kind of teasing him because he's like, wait a minute, you're pampered, you're fed, you don't have to get your own food. Maybe one day you'll have your own pair of pink rain boots. And Bob doesn't like that. And he certainly doesn't like how Snickers is kind of like very prissy and pampered, and she thinks she's all that. So Bob is living at Julia's and having a pretty good life, right? But he did have that really bad dream, and he heard a bark in his dream, and it really bothered him. So tomorrow I will be back to read some more to you. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. I know I am. I love these characters. I loved the one and only Ivan. I know it touched our hearts, gave us the feels, like we like to say. And I hope this one will do the same for us. So I will see you tomorrow for more.